Hi guys, it's WestCoastArachnids. I was just coming in for my evening check on my teas and noticed that this guy had molted. Not sure if you can see, but this guy had some definite difficulties molting. That on the right side is his molt, and 3 of his legs are still inside the molt and it's dried. So it is stuck. What I am going to attempt to do, hold on a sec here, just trying to get the best view on this without having it fall over the edge. Now, what do I do with those? Hiding behind this. Absolutely have no light. Just gonna pause you real quick. Okay, hopefully that's a bit better. As you can see, or not see, I don't know what you can see. There's his molt. His legs are stuck in it. So what I'm going to try to attempt to do is save as much of those 3 legs as possible. If they can't be saved, it's almost better to take them all off right at the body. That way it will not bleed to death. They have a valve there. If the entire leg comes off, they close that valve by the body and stops the fluid from leaking out. But I have to do some drastic stuff here. Now, some people are going to cringe and go, "What are you doing? You're going to drown it." But no, I will not. As I say in most of my videos, always keep a water dish in there no matter how small your tea is. It will not drown. And in order to save this guy's life, we are going to see this live. I need to soak that molt down completely to try to slip it off his legs. As you can see, the tea is floating. Due to the hairs on their bodies and the oils in the hair that they secrete, water will not stick to them. If you put them underneath the water and looked at them with a camera under the water, they would look silver almost, due to the air bubbles collecting around their body. There'd be an entire air pocket surrounding their body. And that is due to these fine hairs and little oils that they have. I can't even get this molt wet. Sorry, buddy, I know you're having a hard time. At worst, he'll get a drink of water. Like I said, he's literally floating in enough water here to sink him, and it will not harm him. Now, if you left him in there for days on end, I'm sure he'll drown, especially since he cannot climb. If this was a perfectly capable tea, it would probably be up and over the edge by now. without an issue. This here is one of my Ischnocolinae Dominican Republics. Now they have all had issues over the past year with DKS. This one was tending to get better with each molt. Here's another one here. Sorry about the banging and bumping. But they have no coordination at all. They haven't got proper use of their limbs. I don't know if you can see that. It will just sit and scurry around. They do walk, and they are slightly getting better, like I said, with each molt. I'm not sure what causes it. Some say lack of oxygen, and that could be the case when they molt. If they don't get enough oxygen or fluids, which will distribute the oxygen, this could cause dyskinesia, which is dyskinesia in humans is like facial twitches and things like that, and flailing of your arms uncontrollably. But I'm not 100% sure on how that works. If that's only when you move. I know that some of the dyskinesia, they're grouped into different groups, and there's different types of dyskinesia. Probably a dozen or more, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of it's involuntary movements. So they're not trying to move, it just happens. But it seems like the dyskinesia with the spiders is when they try to move, they can't. They just kind of like this. They move their legs and they don't crawl, you know. It's not a purpose crawl. It's just a flailing of their legs, and they can't really curl them up underneath their body properly. They kind of stick out straight like this for the most part, and then they just kind of flail and they kind of jitter across the ground. Now, in saying that, that could have played a large part in why this guy couldn't get out of his molt. And this side of the molt is clear, so I can remove those. I'm just trying to remove any parts. Now this leg here is one of the ones that are still inside, I believe. This is very difficult to do. This is a very tiny spider. It's about the size of a quarter, maybe 1 inch leg span. Not very big at all. Very difficult to work with, especially trying to get it out of a molt that's already dried. And the other legs are coming off on the opposite side that have already been released from the molt. I'm going to do my best to keep this guy alive, and if he loses a couple of legs, it's better to lose a couple of legs, I suppose, than its life. Now, in saying that, I do have an update with this guy, which I'm not going to show you really. It's the Lampropelma species Borneo black number 2, the one that had the missing leg from the molt. It molted again, and it lost the same leg again. It didn't regenerate, and it also lost the pedipalp right next to it. So it was the front right leg and the front right pedipalp came off this time in the molt, and one or two of the back legs on the very tips they didn't grow. It looks like they're dying off. Now that could mean internal parasites. I didn't see any signs of DKS, which is Dyskinetic Syndrome. Dys, and then the kinetic is spelled with a K, which is basically dyskinesia. This is why I've been saying dyskinesia and not dyskinetic. I don't know who named it Dyskinetic Syndrome, but I mean, I guess it fits. But I don't think that that is what it is really. I mean, it's basically a type of dyskinesia. This is a lot more limber now. Seems like it's releasing a little easier. His front leg is out. That's it right there. This is his front leg. So this one has been come out in the molt. I do believe the one before that has not. Okay, poor little guy. I'd really like to see what's going on, buddy. You see, that's the dyskinetic syndrome there, the dyskinesia. He can't put his legs down, and it's just kind of a jerky motion, not like a normal spider's crawl. And a normal spider would definitely grasp onto this and try to climb it, even with the other legs being the way they are. He would use the legs on the other side to climb. And this one cannot do any of that. So I definitely believe that this bad molt is due to that. And I'm surprised really that it's lasted this long. They've had this for over a year now. I've had these for 2 years. They're dwarf species. And these legs are dried up straight upwards. They're just pointing straight up like that, bent backwards and up. I don't think that will ever be corrected. See, there they are. Now, they actually may be out for the most part. They are. That's good. So it's only looking like the one leg that's trapped in there. The other ones are simply deformed. I think they got stuck kind of, and yeah, I can't pull that off. To let it soak a little bit longer. It'll be fine in there like that. She's literally climbing onto the edge of that with the two legs that are actually working. What a shame. I had high hopes for this one. It was doing so well. So this shows you here, you're not going to drown your tea. I mean, this one is completely disabled, and it will literally float like this. It could float like this for days and days and survive and be just fine. The air gets trapped underneath by the book lungs, and it breathes just fine that way. And with the top end being out, and the hairs around that are causing surface tension on the water, the air will continually be pulled underneath the body with the hairs, and it can breathe. Even if you were to put this underneath the water, it could probably last for 24 hours or more. They've done studies on wolf spiders to see how long they could actually live underwater, due to, not out of cruelty just to see, but they did it because in Australia the funnel web spiders, I don't know what they call them there, redback or something. No, that's a black widow type spider. But the funnel web is very dangerous there. It kills people. They get bit, they get hospitalized, lose limbs, they die. I don't know how many it's killed, but I don't believe it's as much as people say. But I know that people do die from their bite. And what happens is these funnel web spiders are a type of trapdoor spider. They live in webs, much like a house spider would. And they have the tube web that comes out, and they usually live in like trees or stumps or around fallen logs or houses, or sometimes even underground if they have somewhere they can dig a little tunnel. But they get into their swimming pools in Australia, and they'll go down and they'll sit there for 2-3 days. And people will see it there and they'll think, okay, it's dead because it's been down there a couple of days, and they go swimming and they get bit by it because it's not dead, it's quite alive. And those little valves I was talking about around the carapace where the legs connect, they can shut those off anytime they want to conserve oxygen, to keep the vital parts of their body alive, and then open them back up as needed to keep the legs alive. And they do that when they're underwater. And what happens is, when something comes along that they can grab a hold of, they'll do that. They'll grab a hold of it with whatever they can, and if their legs are shut off, that will be their fangs. And hopefully they're thinking that that's going to pull them out of the water if they bite onto whatever animal that's crossing through the water, and it pulls them out, and then they can drop off and come back to life. But they've been found in the pools after 2-3 days, and they're still alive. They come out after a couple hours, they're walking around just fine. So they did this test with the wolf spiders, and they were lasting for 24 hours to 72 hours. And that's with North American species. Now, in saying that, not all spiders are going to be the same. Some will not last as long as others. I guess it really depends on the makeup of their body, how much hair is there, how oily they are, the water resistance. These ones are just completely water resistant. They float. I'm imagining some of the heavier ones with a lot more hair will probably sink a lot quicker. gets saturated quicker. But this one's got very fine hair. Almost looks like it doesn't have any hair at all. So don't be afraid to put water dishes. My point being, in with your spiders. This is crucial. This is probably one of the top things that kills tarantulas in the hobby is dehydration. And the next would be fungus. So I'd put them both up there on the top. And it's really crucial once they've molted that they have water right away. And they'll find it if it's in there. This is one of the reasons I suggest that people don't use really large enclosures for their small tarantulas. Keep them in something that you can actually monitor them, keep them alive, catch the mealworms that get away so they don't kill them during the molt. It's not always 100%. I've had it happen myself quite a few times actually. When I got sick in the spring, I lost quite a few tarantulas due to either dehydration, fungus, or mealworms. A lot of the times due to they were here alone. I was in the hospital and I couldn't get to them to feed them, and I didn't have anybody else that could do so. Not that wasn't arachnophobic. And there's my phone. Oh, he's grabbing hold of that. That's a good sign. Just going to pause you a minute. Had to get that phone call. Well, so it's literally only half a leg now that's stuck. And that's a lot better than the 3 that were in there. I could see the 3 were in there when I lifted up the molt the first time. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. I've been playing back and forth with this cold that's been going around. Get it, and it goes away and it comes back again. And it's on its way back. So my voice is going. Alright. Anyway, a little bit of info. This guy's definitely gonna have a rough time of it. He's got most of his legs are free now, but they are literally out and bent over towards the other side of it. Like this leg is completely bent the other way. So is that middle one. I don't know if you can see those. But they just bend upwards and over across its back. And it's perfectly fine. This is not a dead tarantula in any way. It does move, but it is, like I said, it's got dyskinesia, DKS, however you want to say it. This leg doesn't seem to move much at all. Well, this middle one and the front one here seem to move much better. I don't know what that one is at all. That's just part of the other. That's his. Oh, that's his pedipalp and it's bent backwards. Yeah, he's in rough shape. And I say he because it should be close to being mature now. And it's black. It should be a fluorescent kind of bluish color, but it's dark. Does have a little bit of a sheen to it, but it's not blue like it's supposed to be. Anyway, I will keep you updated on this guy. And remember, don't worry about putting water dishes in with your tea. You're not going to drown them. As long as they have a way to crawl out, or, you know, if they're completely an okay tarantula, they're going to get out of there. Now, I would have no problem with this guy putting a water dish in that size if he wasn't in this condition. But since he's in this condition, he's getting just his water cap. And this is the cap I've been using with him since he was half an inch, about the size of his abdomen is now. So you can see his legs bent up there. So don't be afraid to use a larger water dish, and a lot of the times I'll see them sitting right in their water dish, floating on the top, and I have no concern about it. I know they're just sitting in there. Maybe they're soaking up moisture. I don't know what they're doing, but anyway, this guy is going to get a new enclosure, or I'm going to clean that one out at least, put some new substrate in there, a little bit of moss, and a new dish for him, and give him the best life I can with the issues he has. Alright, y'all take care, have a great day, and bye for now.